because it's been such a shit year and a half for video games and video game news. People are just kind of like, it didn't suck. That's a positive now. They're like, it didn't suck, so let's just take solace in that. Sony and Nintendo, as of yesterday, as of this recording, had two big shows. They're out there showing their wares for the coming months. And Nintendo was in the beginning of the day. And this wasn't for like E3 or anything. They just both decided. Yeah. Nintendo said, we're doing a Nintendo Direct, which is what they call their little showcases. And Sony said, we're doing a Sony State of Play at the end of the day. And one was at like, I think 8 in the morning or something like that. And one was at like 5 at night. Whatever. But I'm just going to kind of, this is not every single thing they talked about. They were both fairly shorter shows. I think Sony's was like 20 or 30 minutes. Huh?
They said they delivered at least.
That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that these shows were both well received. I didn't hear that anybody was just absolutely blown away. This is the greatest show ever. But they weren't bad. They were all solid shows. Now on the Nintendo side of things, it looks like we got a name for the follow-up to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. It will be called Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Fire Emblem Engage is revealed for the Nintendo Switch, and it is coming in January. Octopath Traveler 2 is coming. More N64 games are coming to the online Nintendo Switch online thing. GoldenEye. We're getting there. You're getting Mario Party, Mario Party 2, Mario Party 3, Pilot Wing 64, Pokemon Stadium 2, 1080 Snowboarding, and Excitebike 64 on that. Pikmin 4 is releasing next year. Bayonetta 3, they're finally talking about that, is scheduled to release on October 28th this year, so just a little over a month from now. They've been waiting on that game for a long time. Resident Evil Village is coming to the Switch. And also Resident Evil 7, 2, and 3, which I am assuming the remakes of 2 and 3 are coming, though they are coming via streaming. I don't know if Resident Evil Village is via streaming, but if 7, 2, and 3 are, it's probably that one too. So you'll be able to play them on the Switch, but they're going to be stream versions, which wildly depends on your Wi-Fi access, how those are going to be. And I know that the Switch's online functionality is not as robust as some of the others. So I have no idea how streaming on the Switch is. People have been very divisive on that. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is coming to the Switch on December 13th also. Now, that was the Nintendo show. Did you see any of this?
I didn't. I got like secondhand feedback from the friends who were watching it, but everything I heard sounds like Nintendo's on their A game.
Yeah.
The fact they announced the Pikmin 4, I might have to buy a Switch again. My third time, Damn. I'd love to eat some Pikmin.
You only have to buy it once, you just keep it.
Yeah, but trading it seems so much easier. No, I'm kidding.
Nick got like a lease agreement on his Switch.
The only thing I asked for on Tears of the Kingdom, outside of just changing the name of the title, is please get rid of the breakable shit, like the swords and shields. Just allow us to have our own weapon that we like to carry along with us, and like if you want to upgrade it. But I hope they listen, and they don't have enough. They don't have any more of that shit of breakable stuff. I don't want to make food anymore either.
I've never been like the hugest Legend of Zelda fan. I got a couple of the NES games. I think I got a Super Nintendo or N64 one. The only one I've ever played all the way through from beginning to end is Wind Waker, oddly enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was actually, I did enjoy the game. I just started about a month ago playing Breath of the Wild for the first time. I have not had a Switch. Two of my daughters had Switches, three of my daughters have had Switches. So there's been 3 of them in my house. And I think 2 of them had Breath of the Wild. Heard about it, just never got around to it. I got it on my Steam Deck recently, and I've started playing it there. It's a pretty cool game. I mean, I like what I've played. I haven't played a tremendous amount of it. I would want to get through that before I do this Tears of the Kingdom game, so who knows when that'll be. I'll probably be 50.
120 hours, sir.
So, I mean, you can't say that I'm like super pumped for this Tears of the Kingdom game, but I get people that are, because the game that it's based on, or that it's a sequel to, it seems like a really good game. All the other stuff, the N64 stuff is cool. I don't really care about Mario Party being on there, because those games that I play on, like the retro Switch games, playing by myself, not really playing party. I don't really care about Pokemon. 1080 was fun. Excitebike would be cool, but I mean, it's cool that they're adding more stuff to this thing, especially since you have to pay extra for the N64 stuff. They need to add more to it to make it worth it. Pikmin, that's another one, never got into, but sounds like you like it, so probably cool. Bayonetta, I liked Bayonetta 1 a lot. So Bayonetta 3 coming it's pretty cool. Resident Evil, I'll play these on other platforms, but it's good that they're getting that stuff. Final Fantasy is another one. This is like the 18th version of Final Fantasy 7. It's like a different game, Reunion or something like that. Never been a huge fan of Final Fantasy 7 myself, but I understand a lot of people are, so it's cool. So this sounds like a very solid, like you said, I've got a lot of my stuff secondhand from what other people were saying, and people seem excited about it, so that's cool. I mean, once again, nobody was just blown away. I think people at this point, because it's been such a shit year and a half for video games and video game news, people are just kind of like, it didn't suck. That's a positive now. They're like, it didn't suck, so let's just take solace in that. So, hey, Nintendo Direct, it didn't suck. It was solid. Everybody, my general understanding, and from what I could see, it seemed like it was really solid. So if you're a Nintendo fan, it seems like you got some really solid stuff to look forward to in the foreseeable future. Now, Sony held theirs a little bit later in the day, their State of Play. They didn't talk about quite as much stuff, but they did throw some announcements out there. Not all of them are exclusive. I think most of with the exception of Resident Evil, obviously, most of the stuff on the Nintendo side was all exclusive. Nintendo's kind of like in their own little world over there. But Sony did announce some things, some exclusive, some not. Just some of the highlights. Tekken 8 was announced. That is a multi-plat, and it looks fantastic. What I saw of it, it looked really damn good. I've never been a huge Tekken fan. I like fighting games, but Tekken has never really been my game. But the game looked real goddamn pretty, I'll say that much. Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge Enhanced Edition is coming for PSVR 2 next year. That is already out on, I think it's on Steam. Maybe it's already available out there for those of you who want to play.
Tales from the Galaxy's Edge. Yeah, I have it on. I have it on the Quest.
Yeah, I knew. Yeah, it's on one of the two main platforms. So they're getting a PSVR version. It says Enhanced Edition. I don't know what'll be different about it, but it looked cool. I mean, it looked like it was a VR game. It looked like a VR game. I feel like VR hasn't moved forward much lately. They got Half-Life Alyx, which was a big jump, and that was like, holy shit. But since that, we really just haven't had that other thing to push us forward. So I need somebody to have something fresh and new come to VR, please. But anyway, yeah, we're getting some PSVR 2 apparently is looking good, and they at least got a few games coming forward as well. The next Yakuza game is going to be called Yakuza Like a Dragon Ishin. It takes place in, I don't know if it's feudal Japan, but it's like samurais and shit like that in it. But it is in the vein of Like a Dragon, so really over the top, crazy. That seemed interesting. That's a multi-plat as well. That's going to everything. That seemed really interesting because if you played Like a Dragon, the Yakuza games are already kind of over the top and crazy. Like a Dragon was fucking insane.
I haven't played it, but that's what I hear.
Well, I haven't played a lot of the Yakuza games, hardly any of them, so I wasn't as familiar with it. I jumped into that game just because I'd heard, hey, you don't need to play the other games to get into it. That game's fucking crazy, but it's like crazy in a good way, and this one looks like it's going to be that same kind of crazy, but with a more, as a period piece. So that I am interested. That's interesting. Project Eve, which is a exclusive they've been talking about for a while, has now been retitled to Stellar Blade. Okay. I mean, it looked like a cool. It looked very near Automata. Is that what Automata?
Yeah, Automata.
Near.
It looked Automata. Yeah.
It looked like that, but prettier. Just from what a little bit I saw. Hogwarts Legacy, which is also multi-plat. However, PlayStation has an exclusive mission deal where they get an exclusive mission and like an exclusive item if you get it on the PS4 and 5. They just showed one. I mean. So if you really just got to have that exclusive mission, I guess you got to get it over on the PlayStation side. Good for them. And God of War Ragnarok got a new trailer, which I've seen clips of, haven't seen the whole thing. Obviously, that's exclusive, and that's coming out in November. But apparently, people are really excited about that trailer. Anything God of War they release, people are going to be really excited about. I think that's going to be a solid game. Whether it will be as good and as influential as the first one, I don't know. I honestly think God of War Ragnarok is going to be more or less... I don't think it's going to be the revolution that God of War 2018 was. I think it's going to just be a continuation of that. It's going to be more of that. But that's not a bad thing. People get offended when you say that. I don't think that's a bad thing. Because the first one was a really good game. What I played of it, I enjoyed. And I have it on the PC. It was a very solid, it was a really fun game. So why would people say, hey, you're continuing that? No, it's got to be fucking... No, continuing that and just doing more of that is great. So I have no problem with that. I don't think that's a bad thing to say there. It looked like it's going to be a good game. So not as much to announce over on the Sony side, but it was all much like Nintendo, very solid. Nothing that's just like earth-shattering, but a very solid, stuff to talk about. So overall, a solid day. Did you, on the PlayStation side of things, did you see any of this, or how you feeling about this stuff as opposed to the Nintendo one?
Nothing like too exciting. It's cool that they have, all this content coming out, and I do feel it was a little bit better than everything else. But yeah, it's one of those things where. I don't have a PS5. I'm not gonna be able to afford the PSVR 2. It just that's the stuff that interests me because you have like the Horizon game coming out for it and stuff like that. But it's cool. Like I said, what they have. Like I said, Yakuza, Tekken don't really do it for me. So
yeah, the VR side of things, I have PC VR. Yeah, I'm very happy with that. But I also understand that VR is a very niche market at the moment, and they need to branch out and do something in VR in general, not just PSVR, but just VR in general. They need to do something that really that will allow that medium to mature. Because what happens is they'll have a game come out that changes things or does some really great stuff, like Half-Life Alyx or something like that, and then everybody just makes clones of that for a while. Until they finally have something else revolutionary come out. Like scary games were the thing at first. They had stuff scaring the shit out of people, jump scares in VR, which are fucking terrifying, by the way. So then you got a shit ton of scary games to varying degrees. So VR really needs to mature in that respect. As far as PlayStation VR, from what I've seen, now I'm about to get a dose of that here soon because I bought a bunch of games with it too. My understanding is that most of PSVR's games are PC VR games that have come over there. There's a few, they do have some exclusives. But what I've seen of those exclusives, not to say they're bad as far as VR goes, but they're still just they're not progressing things forward. Not any more than anybody else. So it's like, I do agree. I think VR needs to do something to move that ship forward to really get that mainstream appeal. And if they just stay where they are, and they do that too much. With video games in general, movies, all entertainment does it. Somebody has something great, everybody else tries to reinvent that or have that again. But VR seems like it just goes a lot slower, and it may be because the barrier to entry is a bit higher than everything else. I don't know, but
yeah,
this seems good, man. Two of the main three have put their stuff out. Microsoft, they had their thing a month or so ago, but these two had some stuff then too. So I don't know if Microsoft's going to have it. I'm sure that Microsoft will have some other show before the end of the year, showing some stuff that's coming soon. But everybody's looking fairly good. Admittedly, at this point, this stuff is more solid than what I saw from Microsoft, which is my preferred platform, is more solid than what I saw from Microsoft as a whole. Because I look at this stuff like, while I'm not super interested in a lot of the stuff from Nintendo, because it just doesn't fit me at this point, and even some of this stuff from Sony, some of it I'm more interested in, but I'm not as interested in. I understand that this is the stuff you need. And I think Microsoft has a lot of this stuff. We just haven't heard of it. So hopefully they release something soon. And even if it's stuff that I'm not interested in, I can look at it and say, that's a good move, though. So the ball is in your court now, Microsoft. Time for you to make your move. But because your two competitors have made very solid steps for the end of the year right here. But let us know in the comments below what you thought if you saw the 2 shows, or just from what we talked about here. Does any of this stuff interest you? Do you think that the big 3 are all headed in the right direction or not? Or do you look at this list and say, fuck this shit, who cares? Or are you like, fuck yeah, this is going to be the best year ever? I don't think anybody's saying that, because this is not the best year of video gaming ever. But hey, if you think so, good on you.